Some of the strongest people you know are fighting battles you can't see. It's PTSD. It's a term we've all heard all the time, but most people don't really understand what it means or what it feels like to live with it. For a lot of veterans, PTSD isn't something that stays in the past. It follows you home, shows up in your thoughts, your sleep, your relationships, and sometimes in the moments you least expect. And the truth is, too many people are fighting that battle alone and in silence. What we're talking about today isn't about transition. It's not about resumes or what comes after the military. This is about the invisible fight, the one that doesn't go away when the uniform comes off. If you've been following this journey, you know why this matters to me. I've lost brothers and sisters. I felt that weight, and I know what it's like to carry things that most people will never see or understand. So today, we're having a real conversation. No filters, no surface level answers. We're talking about PTSD, what it actually feels like, what people get wrong, and why these conversations can literally save lives. Today, I got Michael Dorton with me, a multiple tour combat veteran, former Army medic. He has served at Fort Stewart, Fort Jackson, Korea, Fort Polk. He is a father to some great kids and a husband to a badass lieutenant in the EOD. Someone that lived with this, is still living with this, and is still going on with life. I want you to hear his story, hear his struggle. This one matters today. So wherever you are, listen closely. If it resonates, please share it. But for now, let's get into it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. I know I'll even tell everybody we already did one episode that we'll have to push to the next, but we're going to do it again.
Hey.
So hopefully I touched on it a little bit. I will never be able to give your wife enough props that she definitely deserves. I'm sure she's going to listen to this and say, please stop, but I'm not going to because
She loves it. She'll eat it up.
I was going to say watching her do what she does with EOD and then on top of it, making both of us look weak when it comes to working out is amazing.
Yeah.
So, so first and foremost, thank you once again. And like I stated, both of us were in Third ID together. We worked at the 26 BSB, continually being pushed out to other places. What a lot of people don't realize, and hopefully some of you do listening to the show, is when you are a combat medic, a lot of times you don't belong to the unit that you're actually assigned to. You get continually pushed out. And did you want to touch base on that a little bit? I figure I'd give you a little bit of time here to just kind of explain what you did in the military, and then we'll jump right into the PTSD stuff.
Joined in 2003, went to Benning, went to Fort Sam, doing the training. Got to Fort Stewart right as the unit got back from the initial invasion to Baghdad. Got paired up with probably the first dude with a CMB I'd ever seen in my entire life. He was on the front cover of Times Magazine. His name is Marks. Marks, if you're watching, shout out. He basically kind of mentored me going into my first deployment. If I remember right, he got a scholarship to West Point before we deployed to Rustamaya. And then basically at Rustamaya, I was an evac. So basically, any casualties that they took around, what was it? Was Solder City, I think, or was it Solder City that was near there?
Yeah, we were just outskirts of it.
Basically, in that Baghdad area in Solder City, if we took any casualties that came, we would receive them at our aid station. Treatment platoon would package them up, and then evac would either ground evac them or pair them for air evac. That deployment was pretty crazy for the most part. A lot of casualties. We had the suicide bomber that hit the front gate, and that was my first time treating like because I helped out in treatment platoon, but when that suicide bomber came through, that was my first time actually ever treating a point of impact, like a point of injury.
Yeah.
And we had a few other after that, but like that one kind of I think I just bottled all that stuff up from that deployment. Then we came back, had a short turn. We went to like NTC, short turnaround back.
Yeah.
Within a year, we were back in country again. This time at Fob Kalsu. Was it Fob Kalsu? Or was that the third one? I'm brain farting here. Yeah,
No, yeah,
Fob
we
Kalsu.
went. Yep,
Yep, it
Kalsu,
was
and
Kalsu,
then
second one. And on that one, I joined Top Flight, which was, if people don't know that watches it, it basically was, they basically pushed down where support battalions are responsible for their own security, for their own log packs, own movements, and stuff like that, because the movement battalions were busy. They attached a handful of infantry guys to us, kind of as like squad leaders and platoon sergeants, and they trained us up to provide route security, and minor like patrol-based defense and stuff like that training. And um, during that deployment, I wore many hats. I was a medic for log pack security. Um, I did a stint at Patrol Base Whiskey One. I did a stint as EOD security. What else? I did a little bit with 1-9. And while I was at 1-9, pulling security with them as a medic, I got attached to like like Rangers were there, and they were doing this like feel good, I don't know, like going out and kind of like winning hearts and minds kind of shit. And
yeah,
I got attached to them for one mission because I don't know, their medic was like down, and I was the only medic that at 1-9 at that particular point that had a CMB. So they were like, well, we'll just take him. And they took me, and that was pretty cool, just working with those guys, just because they're at just a completely fucking different level. Nothing happened. It was all cool. Everything was cool. We went out, shook hands, and kissed babies, and then basically came back. But that was a kind of a cool thing about mine, because I'm regular forces. Being a dude like I really look up to Rangers and stuff like that. So like I thought it was really cool to be able to work with them for a little bit. After that, went back again to Fort Stewart, and this is when I start feeling like, when I got back to Fort Stewart after that deployment, I started feeling a little bit of the PTSD. Like that second deployment wasn't too crazy for me. Like there was a little bit of casualties. That's when I like officially got my CMB, because I didn't get my fucking CMB for the dude that got hit on the suicide bomber, because
yeah,
they were like, well, you technically weren't under fire, and never got my CMB. So I got my CMB on my second deployment, but like overall, it was not as crazy. We didn't take as much incoming, didn't get shot at as much as the first deployment, but I think that all of it kind of came to a head after that deployment.
okay,
Um, and that's when I started kind of feeling like, okay, maybe I do fucking have PTSD. Because when I came back the first time, I was like, oh, you guys are fucking pussies. Like, I don't feel anything. I'm cool. Like, but I think I realized I was just kind of like, bottling all that shit down.
yeah,
Um, uh, and then I got attached to brigade as Colonel Sexton's PSD. Got attached to Sergeant Major. I can't even remember his name now. But I was his medic. This is when my memory starts going back, because PTSD was going crazy. But was PSD for the Sergeant Major for in the MND North Commander as a medic. And, again, that deployment was it was just odd, because we would just randomly fly places, and they'd drop us in the middle of a village and fly away, and then we're just kind of like in the fucking middle of nowhere. But again, nothing really crazy happened on that deployment. I don't think I ever was shot at that deployment. Did treat some casualties, but they were casualties that we created, and I guess as it went on, I just kind of like, I started like butting heads with NCOs more. I think I was a corporal at the time, and I just started seeing like the cracks, I guess, in my armor a little
yeah,
bit as it was going on. I ended up getting a hernia, and they issued me opiates after my hernia surgery, and that basically started when I started kind of treating my PTSD with Percocet, pretty much. So, I came back from the deployment. I was in kind of a, I didn't want to touch on this too much, but I was in a very abusive marriage, very verbally abusive marriage, sometimes physically on her part. Uh, though admittedly, I probably was verbally abusive sometimes as well. But this is when she started kind of isolating me a little bit from, you guys
Yeah. Yep.
and a lot of my friends were like, "What are you doing?" Like, like what's going on with you? And I kind of just started shutting people out. Moved to Fort Jackson. Um, got attached to. First, I got attached to the urgent care center at Jackson, and that's when I started really. I had a I had a an NCOIC that I was butt heads with a lot. He didn't like me. He didn't like the fact because I was in the army for what 13 years. Only made it to E5 because I just languished. I didn't have any drive to move up. Um, and I had a couple Arctic 15s, but the Arctic 15s never held me back by my rank. Like it was always just at first I had like a whole idea of what an NCO should be, and I never thought that I reached what I was like. I'm not ready to be an NCO. I'm not ready to be an NCO. Every time they try to push me
Yeah.
to go to the board, and then by the time that I was like, okay, I'm ready to be an NCO, then it was an uphill battle because everybody was like, why the fuck were you a fucking specialist for like 7 years, And so when I got to Fort Jackson, you know how people look at you, they just automatically go, oh, you're a fucking shitbag.
Mhm.
Like, because first thing that fucking out of the NCIC's mouth was like, why have you been an E5 so long? And I was like, oh, because I had like an idea of what an NCO is supposed to be, and I just didn't push myself. But now I realize I should have been fucking just trying to get it and figuring it out later.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, and I wasn't really pushing myself to do it. And plus, I sucked at boards. Um, so me and him were constantly like butting heads. I had good soldiers. I had a soldier that had called that called me recently and it was like, you were like the only reason I didn't fucking lose my shit there. Like, because I was cool, collected. These guys have been in the fucking hospital for fucking ever, and they just have a different set of priorities. I was more about trying to take care of my soldiers and stuff like that. So this guy was always coming at me, and he would always threaten to fight me. I don't like constantly threaten to fight me. And I don't know if you know this, but the first sergeant at the hospital was a I cannot remember his name, but he was an NCO that we had in treatment platoon at one point. And he was the first sergeant at Fort Jackson when I got there, or shortly after I got there. But I can't remember his name. He's a black guy,
Was
big
it
guy.
Reed?
No, it wasn't Reed. I know it wasn't Reed, but he might have actually been a first sergeant in a different. He's a medic. I don't know. I knew him though. Like me and
Yeah.
him knew each other very well, and he had been with me almost my majority of my career. And he came in and he was the first sergeant there. But anyway, this NCOIC would always threaten to fight me. He'd be like, "Well, we could just take our blouses off and fight right now." And I was I was fucking 90 pounds soaking wet at that point, probably like maybe 150 pounds. Like, and he would just constantly poke at me, poke at me, poke at me. And eventually one day I was just like, okay, let's fucking fight. Like, I don't care anymore. I will take my fucking blouse off. I'm a fucking E5. I don't give a fuck. Like, I've been in fucking forever at this point, like 12 years at this point, 10 years at this point, whatever. I don't know. And then I was like, let's just fucking fight. And he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I guess I'd been in like 8 years at that point, but he was like, whoa, whoa, what the fuck? And he's like, you're threatening to fight your NCI staff sergeant. So then he took me to the first sergeant and basically was like, basically just was like trying to present me in like a really terrible way. And
Yeah.
the first sergeant was like, I'm not saying I don't believe you staff sergeant, but I know Dorton, and I know that he's a calm. I've never seen him fucking lose his cool. Like there's something to what he's saying here. So I didn't get in trouble for that, but they took the NCIC, put him in a medical home, and then they took me and put me in hospital education, where basically I was kind of like the boss of myself. I worked with 2 civilians who were fucking awesome. And basically, I just taught PALS, ACLS, and CLS to nurses, and I taught like CLS to or BLS to like drill sergeants and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
I basically just taught classes all day and did calf holders, and it was fucking awesome. I was like my own boss. But then this is when like when I got that job and I just wasn't had that constant stress of like him fucking with me. It's when my PT and then my marriage was falling apart. That's when the PTSD really kind of like really came out. Like I was fucking I lost my shit. I was on armywhatthefuck.com for like losing my fucking shit on somebody saying something doesn't I can't even really remember, but they said something like uh people not taking it serious at the thing and people are dying. Like I don't know. They basically kind of made light of people dying in combat, and and I was still trying to fucking deal with Lewis dying, and I just fucking snapped, threatened to fucking kick a girl and like in the chest and fucking I don't know. I just had a fucking whole moment, and had to go talk to the sergeant major, who was the only dude I've ever met that had that fucking star on his CMB because he had jumped in Panama or some shit, and he was like, I don't fault you for what you said. He's like, but I do not think that, I don't think this hospital is 7 stories of piles of shit or something like that. That's kind of what my quote was like. This fucking hospital, a fucking 7-story high pile of shit. And he basically said, I'm not giving you an R15 or anything like that. But he's like, but they basically forced me to go to the MTBI PTSD like program they had at the hospital. And it was like all this like I don't want to say experimental because it's like all, but it basically they were just trying all kinds of different things like rapid eye movement therapy and yoga and fucking all this other shit. And the thing that helped me the most there was probably counseling. Um, like I did the other shit, but like I'm not fucking flexible enough for yoga. I don't fucking, like I don't know. Like it was nice, I guess, but um, uh, the counseling helped me a lot, and it really kind of because at one point I was just telling. Well, let me go back a little bit. Between those 2 times, I tried to kill myself twice. I don't know why I'm gonna try to skip over that, but the first, that's like a big deal. But I basically tried to take a shit ton of my Percocet because they were giving me to me 90-day doses. I took like fucking 30 Percocet, and I was like, "This is it, boys." My body was like, "This is gross." It made me fucking throw up, and then I was like fucked up, like really bad, and I just dealt with it, didn't tell anybody. Even my fucking ex-wife didn't know. That day I was like, I'm not feeling good, even though I was like fucked up because the Percocet was probably only in my stomach for like 5 minutes, but like it fucked me up. Felt like shit. A couple weeks go by, and I basically kind of did the same thing this time. But basically, what I did was I took 5 Percocet because I don't know if anybody's taken Percocet, and I don't know how it affects anybody else, but it makes me not give a fuck. Like I just don't give a fuck about anything anymore. And so I took the Percocet, got in my truck, and I was like, I'm just going to go down the interstate and I'm going to fucking just headlong into a tree. So I get on, I think it was I-20 outside of Fort Jackson, or maybe it might be I-24 or something like that. But I get out there and I'm fucking driving, and then I just have a fucking huge breakdown. What the fuck am I doing? So then I basically just drove myself to the UCC I used to work at, went and talked to the triage nurse who I knew, and I was like, I don't want to fucking live anymore. I just tried to kill myself a second time. Like, I need help. Like, I don't know what to do. And they basically put me on psychiatric hold. I got out of the psychiatric hold, and basically that's when I had the fucking Army what the fuck moment shortly after that, because they made me go to fucking ETS tree training or the fucking shooting training and stuff. And then Sergeant Major was like, look, you got to go to fucking, you need help. Like, he sent me to fucking that like little special program. But the counselor, I got in there and we talked for like a couple weeks. And then finally she just goes, like, cause I was like talking about my fucking marriage sucks. I don't know how to deal with my emotions. I fucking feel all over the place. I feel crazy. I can't even fucking remember half the fucking shit that like like even right now, Fort Jackson is like a blur. Like I can hardly remember it at all.
Yeah.
And I was there for like 3 years. And I'm missing pieces of like Fort Stewart. And she just basically looks at me straight in the eye and goes, why aren't you happy? And I was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, my marriage sucks. Like, it's kind of, I just focused on my marriage, like sucking. And then she was like, well, why don't you do something about it? She's like, you're just like, why are you like, you know what you need to do to try to be happy. So do it. So that's when I separated from, my ex. Um, Shortly after that, I got orders to Korea, unaccompanied orders, thank God. Went to Korea. And while I was there, I was still taking opiates, like kind of numb this shit down. You know, uh, I asked for a divorce from my ex, uh, and she was like, "Fine, cool." But where we, and then she went and filed in Indiana, and you have to be separate for a year before you can divorce for Indiana. But I
Yeah.
was already in Korea, so I was like, well, fuck it. When I get out of Korea, I'm going to be here a year anyway. When I get back from Korea, we'll divorce, you know? And, wasn't looking to meet anybody or anything like that. Like I think like 4 or 5 months go by of me being, single because I was still technically married. Um, Still dealing with my shit and meet my wife, but we're just friends. Like I had no fucking any kind of like a like goal to her or anything. Didn't even consider her like a dating prospect or anything.
Yeah.
But to me, from hearing from her, she's like, "I saw you, I wanted you immediately." So she was constantly finding her way around, what we were doing and stuff like that. Just to try to be close to me or whatever. Whole time this is going on, my ex-wife goes, "Hey, I got a boyfriend. Just want to let you know, I got a boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, well, fuck, that's cool. Like, I'm glad that you are happy. I'm glad you got a boyfriend. Like, it's cool." Um, Month goes by, and me and my wife are getting closer, and I'm like, maybe I should try to date this chick. My ex is dating somebody. Why not? Still, again, I'm getting fucked up on opiates. Um, I go to a Korean doctor there to like, I don't know, to like, redo my prescriptions and stuff. And he basically is like, he's like, well, I'm not going to give you these Percocets. I don't think you need them. So he stopped taking them. And then he took me off my SSRIs, like just dead fucking took me off. Do not recommend at all. So I started feeling really fucking crazy. Like I would be like sitting in my room and just cry. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I'd be like, what the fuck am I crying about? Like I just would
Yeah.
cry. Like my emotions were just fucking all over the place. Um, and I'm going through all this shit, and I go to like a platoon party or whatever, and I'm like, I had been working with my wife all day. We go to this platoon party, and on the way to the party, I'm just like, it hit me like I fucking like this chick a lot. Like I really like her, and I was like, you know what? I'll tell her, and that'll be it. I just got to get it off my fucking chest because I'm like I said, my emotions were fucking everywhere. So like we go to this party, I look, I walk up to her and I go, look, I like you a lot. We don't have to do anything with that. I just need to get off my chest that that I'm into you, like I'm attracted to you, or whatever. And she gives me the fucking biggest stank face ever, and I'm like, well, I fucked that up. So like, I basically like walk away. Well, how she tells it, she was like, thank God, like finally this fucking dude like realized that I'm into him. And then she texted me and she's like, where the fuck did you go? And I was like, I just went back to my room because I fucking fucked up. Like I made it weird, like, and she's like, no, she's like, I'm interested in pursuing a relationship, but, and then going into it, I was like, I don't want I don't know if taking me off the SSRIs and taking me off all that shit, like just gave me this crazy clarity of mind. But like, I was like, I'm about to put a shit ton of fucking stuff on this blossoming relationship because I basically was like, I don't want to make the mistakes I made in my previous uh, marriage. So I think the next day, before we even had our fucking first kiss, like we were going to go to Mount Soyasan on a hike with the platoon. She comes to my room. I sit her on my bed. And this is, like I said, probably not even fucking 12 hours after I told her I liked her. And she said that she wanted to pursue a relationship. I was like, I sat her down and I was like, this is how I want to communicate in a relationship. This is how I want to, like, I don't want to fucking, like, if something bothers you, I want to know right at that moment. Like, I want you to say, I don't like how you did that, or I don't like how that made me feel, or whatever. I was like, these are the things that I like to do. If this, and I was like, sometimes I like to play video games. Sometimes, I like to fucking just sit around and do fucking nothing, you know? Um, I tried to just basically explain like to her who I am in a way that I don't think that anybody probably does on the fucking first date
Yeah.
immediately. Like it was a lot. And I was like doing it, I was like, I'm probably gonna scare this fucking chick away, but I'm gonna try my best. I was like, I just cannot be in the relationship that I was before. Like it was just so bad on both sides. There's no communication, there's tons of resentment. And I was like, I just want to avoid that. And to her credit, she was like, I agree with all that. And she was like, that's exactly how I want. And then she turned around and fucking unloaded on me. This is what I like to do. This is what I want to continue doing. This is what I don't want, And I was like, okay, that's all agreeable to me. And then we fucking grabbed our shit and went hiking up Mount
That's
Soyuz.
awesome.
And then had our first kiss on the top of the mountain. And, 11 years later, here I am. But I think doing that and then being in that relationship for that, because I think we were in Korea probably as a couple, probably 4 months. But like during that 4 month period of like just being with her and having someone that like I had already kind of fucking, vomited all this fucking overshare on, like I was like, I got fucking PTSD. I'm fucking like, I feel crazy sometimes and all this other shit. And she just took it in stride and then just kind of, I guess, this is probably not coming from the best person, but, uh, uh, God, now I'm having my brain is like just not working today. What's his fucking name? Shia LaBeouf. Okay, I don't know if you've seen that interview he had with that Walking Dead guy. I can't remember that guy's name, the actor, but he's in Walking Dead. He talks about when he was all this shitty stuff he did to his wife. He was like in drug addicts and he was in rehab, and he talks
Yeah.
about how his wife basically had to like eat shit to be with him. And they had this thing at the rehab where people would show up, or they would show up on video call, and no one was ever showing up for Shy. So he would have to fucking sit there, and all these people that were in his group, they would have their family members going, "Oh, hey, we love you. I hope you're doing good." And no one would show up for him, but they kept making him fucking show up to these things. And finally, he was like, "Dude, I don't want to fucking show up to this shit. Like, it sucks, man. Like I go in there and fucking blows ass. I
Yeah.
just get reminded that I fucked all my relationships up." And his counselor just keeps making him go. And he said one day he goes in there and his fucking wife is shows up on there, and he called it and I don't know if this is a religious term because I'm not super religious, but he called it the ministry of presence. And he said it helped him so much, her just being there and like wanting to be an ear, or just being there in the moment with him. And I think that's really how my wife pulled me out of my bullshit was like just being, because I probably wasn't in any state of mind to be in a relationship, and but just by the ministry of her presence, she pulled all that out of like all of it out of me. And just by being someone that I could 100% trust and talk to, and we had already established I'd already basically told her all the most embarrassing shit about me day one. So like it was so much easier to talk to her, and if I was having a bad day or whatever, I could just tell her. And she was kind of that one person, and she never really had answers for me because she was brand new in the army. This is the first duty station at this point, and um, so she doesn't really know. She doesn't know. She doesn't have anything to tell me, but just by being there, her ministry of presence to me, like,
Yeah.
kind of really pulled me out of it. And um, and then we finagled it by because we were still dating, but we were like, we want to make sure we show up to the next duty station together. So, what's the one duty station no one ever wants to fucking go to that if you go call branch and say, hey, I want to go here, they're like, fuck yeah, you can go there. And that's Fort Polk.
Yeah.
So we went to Fort Polk. We had our daughter, and I got out at Fort Polk. I think at Fort Polk, I just kind of I got attached to 389 Cav. The Colt, and I got put, and I got there, and again immediately the platoon sergeant doesn't like right off the bat doesn't fucking like me for some reason. I don't know. We were the same rank. He just fucking. I think he thought that I was there to take his platoon sergeant position, which I'm just trying to fucking exist at this point, and pushed me. He pushed me to the scout platoon, and it's a light unit. I had been mechanized my entire career, so this is all fucking new to me. Now I'm fucking walking around way more than I'm used to. I want to be in a fucking Bradley or some shit. Like I don't want to be fucking like walking around. So it was like kind of sucky. And I think the moment that I decided I wanted to get out was, we had Motor Pool Monday, and this sergeant major he was very big on the way the line looked at the beginning of Motor Pool Monday, which I don't think is too abnormal. The way you look, and he had like inspectable items. I had probably been there for 2 weeks. I hadn't been pushed to scout platoon yet. I was still in the headquarters platoon. I met in the office with the platoon sergeant prior to going to the motor pool, and he was like, "Hey, I need to get you." I can't remember the name of the book. It was but there was some book you had to carry for Fort Polk, and there was some other inspectable item that you had to have, like a card for the unit. And he was like, "I'm going to get these to you," and I was like, "Okay, cool. You're going to give them to me. It's fine." I go to motor pool Monday. I walk down the line because he had told me, "Hey, we got to make sure the line is straight." So I walk down the line. One of the drip pans is not under one of the Humvees is not lined up right. I don't want to get on the ground. I was lazy. I didn't want to get on the fucking ground. So I stick my boot in there, hook my boot on it, and pull it where it needs to be with my boot. I get a fucking dot of oil on my boot. Whatever. I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal to me. And I didn't think it was going to be a fucking huge deal. So I go up there. I get in. I go up to the platoon sergeant, and I'm like, and his name is Sergeant Mattias. I fucking hate that guy. If I see him again, I'm gonna bust his fucking ass for this shit. But I told him, I was like, "Hey man, I got fucking oil on my boot. I can't get the shit off. I tried to get it off. It's not fucking coming off. Oil has probably not been changed in fucking 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like it's not fucking coming off. It's black as fuck. It's not coming off my boot." I was like, I would have to fucking take it home and wash it, or scrub it out. And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." Motherfucker sets me up. Like the sergeant major goes, "Who wants to be inspected?" My fucking platoon sergeant goes, "My platoon wants to be inspected, or the medics want to be inspected." He's like, "Okay, pick your fucking 5." Picks me, puts me up there. I don't have fucking both the fucking inspectable items, and I got fucking an oil spot on my fucking boot. Sergeant major comes over. He's like, "Okay, where's your inspected item?" I was like, "Sergeant Mattias told me that he would get them to me." And Sergeant Mattias looks to the sergeant major, goes, "I'll square it away, Sergeant Major." And then Sergeant Major looks at me and goes, "You got fucking oil on your boot. Did you not think that you need to be ready for fucking motor pool Monday?" And I was like, "Sergeant Major, I was trying to square away." And he goes, "I don't want to hear the excuses." And then he goes, "Are you going to re-enlist?" And I was like, "No." Like right at that moment, I was like, "Fuck no, I ain't realistic." Because I was in my window. I was like, "I ain't fucking doing this shit anymore, dude." Like I was like, "I'm not re-enlisting." He's like, "Good. I don't want to take you to Afghanistan anyway." And I was like, "Dude, I'm the only motherfucker you have here that has a CMB, so don't fucking take me. I don't give a fuck."
Yeah.
Like I'm literally the only NCO you have that has a CMB. So
I'm actually the one you do want with you in Afghanistan, but
I
I
was like,
don't
"Don't
want to
take me to
go.
Afghanistan, then. I don't give a fuck." And then uh and basically at that point I was like a write-off. Like they banished me to scout platoon. I went to JRTC, and then I fucking they went to Afghanistan. I was on Rear D. I think I was on Rear D for like 6 months, man. I fucking showed it to work probably 4 times. Like fucking fuck them, dude. I was so over it at that point. I was like, I can't do this fucking shit anymore, man. And that's basically I got out, and that's when I got out, worked at fucking the Pizza King or the Pizza Hut on Fort Polk. Which, by the way, if you're at Fort Polk, work at the fucking Pizza Hut on fucking near the fucking JRTC stuff, because you'll make so much fucking money on tips. I was bringing like $300 home a night, dude. It was crazy.
That's
And
awesome.
Yeah. So I worked at the Pizza Hut for a little bit. Then we PCS Fort Campbell with my wife and uh, did like tower climbing work, shit like that. But now I'm a stay at home dad, and because I'm officer wife now. Like she
Hey,
wife went green to gold. I stay at home, take care of the house, cook, clean, and homeschool my kids. That's what I do.
dude,
So
some of us are jealous of that life. I promise you.
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, I need to work, but it is what it is.
No, you let her make that money. Let her do her
Yeah.
EOD thing. It's like we talked about the last time. She has to pay back all the times we had to sit there and wait for EOD, and like I said, they
Yeah.
didn't even let us. They didn't even
Like
let it
fucking hurry the
detonate.
fuck
They
up.
made us watch it.
Which I learned isn't their like they spin up pretty quick. It's not really their fault that they show up late, which fucking cracked me up because I just did nothing but blame them when we were fucking developing.
I still will all the way.
I
Like
do too. It was like, y'all need to hurry the fuck up, bro. You took forever.
we're working on 20 years later right now from when we were over in Iraq, and we're both like, no, it was EOD's fault. That's why we were sitting in this field forever.
Yeah, it's just got to go through so many fucking levels of people like 3 hours later.
No, nope. No, I appreciate all that. That's one, like I said before, that your whole career is just different facets of
Yeah, sorry
essentially
if I went on a.
the army what the fuck moments, right? Like it's just like, come
Yeah,
on, man.
sorry if I
But
went on a rant.
no,
I just like to talk. Yeah,
it just makes the episode a little bit longer. That's perfectly fine.
sorry.
Because
You can cut it
I'd
down.
rather hear, because you touched on so
Piece
many
of.
things in there that I can actually come back and talk to you about. So like we talked about the Iraq stuff right off the bat,
Yeah, yeah.
with Third ID, and kind of I want to kind of touch on that without talking about war stories, but I do kind of want to touch about the mentality, because I have my own take on some of the mentality stuff, but I kind of want to get what yours is. Like when we came back, uh, I I I can remember this almost clear as day, and I remember you being with us, and we would go in groups, and our whole company would go to the auditorium, and they would talk to that therapist on the stage, and he asked if anybody's having any issues because other people can't process war the way other people can.
Yeah.
Please raise your hand or please stand off to the side. And like in my head, I thought one way, but what was your take on it to like kind of admit that you had PTSD? What was your take of what that would have done to you if you had admitted, like at that time, what was your thought process around that?
I don't know, man, because I'm so different from that guy now. I I don't like the way they did it because if I raise my fucking hand, everybody's looking at me. You're gonna be looking at me. Fucking Moreno's gonna be looking at me. Fucking Juan's gonna be looking at me. Like everybody's gonna be fucking looking at me. Like I don't want to fucking I don't want to be the one. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
and looking back, I don't remember anybody standing up.
none of
I
us.
don't remember one fucking person standing up. Um, I think it wasn't until I was like fucking trying to kill myself that I admitted that I had PTSD. Like I knew there was shit going on with me, but I just didn't. I don't know. I just was. I don't know. I don't know what I tried to reason it out to be, but I didn't reason it out to be PTSD until a fucking counselor was like, "You have PTSD, bro." Like so,
Yeah,
and
and I think there are so many things too that like, especially for you, because you had the rollover, there were so many things that had happened, and like I said, I don't want to get too much into them, but we've lost so many people. We wear the black band. Obviously, we have our kid named after a guy that we both considered a brother, um, and to have that kind of stripped away, and we talked about it in the past too. Like the military does a really good job of not allowing you the time to kind of harbor on it. Um, and like you said, none of us stood up, and it sticks out to me now because, like you said, I'm not the person I was back then. Back then, I was never going to admit that there was any kind of issue because I didn't want to be taken out of doing what we did. Because I knew if I had an issue, they would stop putting me with 1-9. They wouldn't
yeah,
put me
or
with
top flight.
3-7.
Yeah.
So they would have kept me back. They would have made me somebody I really wouldn't have wanted to be.
You know, I so there was a defining moment for me when I was at so I had a partner medic um, that I had a partner medic when I was on PSD. I'm not going to name his name, but uh, I thought we were really good friends. Like that dude was literally my partner. We fucking slept right across from each other for a year, um, but like 4 feet away from each other for a whole year. Um, I thought we were really good friends. When I went to Fort Jackson, uh, there was also an NCO that was on PSD that really, his name was Sergeant Azursky. He really pushed for me to communicate. I think that he recognized very early while I was deployed on a third deployment that I had issues I was fucking dealing with. Because he always made it a point to fucking reach out to me. He even fucking drove to Fort Jackson to see me at one point. And this was after me and my ex had separated, so she wasn't living there anymore. I was living in a little apartment right off base. He came and see me and made me go out with him and just hang out with him and stuff. Um, so when he came, I was like, you know what? There's other people that I could probably, contact you and hang out to. And I don't know why I didn't think about you guys, but those guys were the most recent guys I'd been with. So maybe that's why, I don't know. But like, um, I went and saw my partner medic. Like I drove down to Fort Stewart and I saw him because he was still there. And this was before I tried. This was probably about maybe a week or two before I tried to kill myself. And I'm getting drunk with him. I'm hanging out with him, and we're sitting down. And again, I thought me and this guy were close, like me and Moreno close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I thought we
Yeah.
were fucking close. And I, like in a moment of me being kind of buzzed or whatever, I turned to him and said, and I did it out of nowhere. To his defense, in his defense, I said did it out of nowhere. But I was like, I'm thinking about killing myself. And he literally looked at me and goes, I'm not going to talk about that. And he just got up and left me there. So then so then I got in my truck buzzed and drove from Fort Stewart back to Fort Jackson. And like about a week later, I tried to kill myself. So like, I think the reason that I didn't go for help at Fort Stewart and I didn't really get bogged down with it or whatever. And I just came to this fucking, like, while you were talking, I came to this like revelation. But like, I think it all, for me, I think it all goes back to ministry of presence. Like I had you guys there. Like I didn't ever have to feel crazy because I just had you guys were just there and you're just there with me. Like we didn't have to talk about shit, and we had deep conversations, stuff like that, but we never talked about like PTSD or that kind of stuff. But like just like having you around and having Juan around and even in Moreno, even though he's going through his own stuff like now, but like even having those you guys just around, like I think that's what kept me. Like once I lost that, I think, and then I went back and tried to find it, and I was given an answer that I was like, it basically made me feel like, well, fuck, maybe I should just fucking kill myself. Like even
Yeah.
somebody I thought was like my fucking best friend doesn't want to fucking hear it. So maybe I'm just weak and just need to fucking kill myself. So, and I haven't talked to that guy from that day. We have never. That's the last words he said to me. Last words I said to him was, "I want to kill myself," or "I'm thinking about killing myself." So that's the last time I ever talked to him. And yeah, I think really for me it was just ministry of presence. I think that's what really pulled me out of it for
Yeah.
sure.
And I think you just saying that term, right? I
Yeah,
want to use that moving forward actually, because
yeah,
it means so much. Because I look back, like as you're talking at the beginning of this and you're talking about your wife and just being present, and yeah, the ministry of presence is just when we lost Will here at the house and we didn't talk. Like me and my wife did not talk about it, because and it was partially there, it was good and bad that we didn't talk, right?
yeah.
Because
But I mean, what can you even say? Like it's
yeah,
like
and I felt like every time I like I felt like I needed to talk, but I didn't want to talk to my wife because she's going through it. I didn't want to burden her. And then
Yeah.
she's doing the exact same thing because she's
Yeah.
a Marine and that's how she does things.
Yeah. That's what we've been taught to
And
do. Shut the fuck up.
yeah. And so, but the part that I think went lost on a lot of people is in that massive trauma bonding, whatever you want to call it. The reason that we stayed so close and that we are so close right now is I was always there. Whether it was she's playing on her computer, playing Sims just to stop thinking about something, or whether it was me watching some stupid show and she's just sitting on the couch next to me and I still had her. That presence is really what did snap me out of it. And my kids, to the credit of my ex-wife and my kids, my ex-wife offered to, come clean stuff up and do kind of stuff like that. And we had a tough go of it at first, but we're in a very good place now. We're really good friends.
Yep. Mine as well. Full disclosure, like we are in a very good place now. I hope if she watches this, it doesn't set us back, but we're in a good place. Like we both agree that we are happier not together. Like we just were not a good couple.
Yeah. And I think that's where me and my ex-wife have gotten now, where we are really good friends. And that's probably where we should have probably stopped. But we have a great family too. I have 2 beautiful kids from it. And like just knowing, like even now with the last one, like I said, just 2 weeks ago, losing another buddy, and her constant just checking in and being present. Like, hey, I am here. I know you probably don't want to talk about it, but I am here. I think there's a lot.
Yeah. Like, I think it's just like, you're never alone with the ministry of presence.
Yeah.
Like you never have to feel alone. Like there's no pressure to talk or anything like that. Like, because if somebody pressures me, I'm going to go be alone. Like if you're just there, non-intrusively existing with me, like, and in your case, it's like a shared, like you guys did that for each other, which is beautiful to me. Like it's not, you guys were never alone in that moment, which is awesome. Like I really, and I'm happy for you, both of you, for that.
Well, I appreciate it, but I think it goes to show, like even in this last one with me, you've reached out in a way that shows me that I could call you, but you're not like, hey man, I know your buddy just killed himself. Hey, you want to talk?
I just don't want to fucking bring it, because maybe that day you're like kind of getting to forget about it a little bit, and then here I come fucking like a bull in a china shop. Like,
I hope you have enjoyed the episode so far. Please join next week for part 2 as we dive in even more with Dorton. Until then, please look at life and remember to always go 1 more mile. Love you all.